you see? Releasing the Great Devourer is the only way to get back at the people of Ninjago for locking my kind underground for all those years. We should have been the ones smoothing the surface, not you!
In the face of the Great Devourer, there is only death or victory. These chilling words from Inquisitor Cryptman capture the terrifying reality of the Tyranid threat. But what exactly makes up this Great Devourer? Let's find out. Join us as we break down the Tyranid swarm, examining each of the 19 major bioforms that make it such a formidable foe. From the humble beginnings of a spore to the nightmarish visage of a hive tyrant, you'll see how the Tyranid life cycle turns basic biomass into an unstoppable army. And trust us, there's a twist in this evolution that you won't expect. Ready to dive into the alien horror? Ever wondered how Tyranids can turn a thriving world into a barren husk in the blink of an eye? Let's start our journey with the tiniest yet most crucial bioform, the Spore Mine. These living bombs are the silent vanguard of the Tyranid invasion, drifting through the void on solar winds for centuries before finding their mark. When a spore mine touches down, it's like a ticking time bomb with two devastating outcomes. It might explode in a toxic cloud, spreading microscopic organisms that alter the planet's ecosystem. Or even more terrifying, it could burrow deep, growing into larger Tyranid organisms, a seed that sprouts a forest of nightmares. But here's the kicker. By the time anyone notices these spore mines, it's usually too late. They've already seeded the world long before the main hive fleet arrives. It's a classic case of, by the time you see us coming, we're already here. If you thought spore mines were the Tyranids' only tiny terrors, think again. Let's talk about rippers, the living embodiment of you are what you eat. These little nightmares are essentially teeth with legs, and they're about to show us why size doesn't always matter in galactic domination. Picture this, a boiling cauldron of carnage, each ripper no bigger than your hand, devouring everything in its path. That's a ripper swarm in action. These aren't just mindless eating machines, they're crucial to the Tyranid ecosystem. As rippers surge across a planet's surface, they break down all organic matter into a nutrient-rich soup. This terrifying planet-wide composting system creates raw materials for the hive fleet, as rippers regurgitate biomass into massive digestion pools. The Tyranids waste nothing, repurposing every scrap to fuel the growth of larger, more complex organisms. It's a chilling reminder of the hive mind's ruthless efficiency in its quest for galactic domination. While we've been focused on the Tyranids' overt tactics, there's a far more subtle threat lurking in the shadows of the Imperium. What if I told you that the enemy was already inside your defenses before the invasion even began? Enter the Stealers, the perfect infiltrators of the Tyranid swarm. These bioforms are masters of stealth and subterfuge, capable of blending in with local populations and spreading their tainted genes. But here's where it gets truly terrifying. Stealers can infect other species, creating hybrid offspring that are loyal to the Tyranid cause. It's like a biological sleeper cell growing right under the noses of unsuspecting planets. As these infected individuals multiply, they form what's known as Stealer cults. These cults work tirelessly to weaken planetary defenses from within, sabotaging key installations and sowing discord among the population. By the time the main hive fleet arrives, half the work of conquest is already done. Stealers are the vanguard of Tyranid invasions, paving the way for the hive fleet's arrival. When the swarm descends, it finds a world ripe for the taking. The terrifying efficiency of this strategy is a testament to the cunning of the hive mind. Think you're safe after rooting out those Stealer cultists? Think again. The Tyranids have another ace, the Lictor. These phantom predators are so stealthy, they could be right beside you without you noticing. Imagine the eerie silence, broken only by a sudden flicker of movement in the shadows. That's the Lictor, the hive mind's intel gatherer and terror spreader. What makes Lictors truly terrifying? They're living chameleons, perfectly mimicking their surroundings to become invisible. They adapt to any environment, from dense jungles to cold space stations. No wonder Imperial Guard veterans whisper about moving shadows and vanishing comrades. But Lictors aren't just stealth masters. They're expert trackers, using heightened senses to find prey and set the stage for the Tyranid assault. Their most insidious trick? Pheromone trails, leaving a secret map for the swarm to follow. With Lictors around, nowhere is truly safe from the hive mind's grasp. While Lictors might be the silent stalkers of the Tyranid swarm, there's another bioform that takes a more direct approach. Imagine a subterranean missile striking from beneath, combining the speed of a rocket with the ferocity of a living weapon. That's exactly exactly what the hive mind created with the Ravener, a creature that redefines the term shock troops. Raveners are living torpedoes designed to punch through enemy lines with devastating effect. These serpentine bioforms burrow through the ground at incredible speeds, emerging to ambush unsuspecting foes. They're equipped with rending claws that tear through armor and whip-like tails that lash out with bone-crushing force. In close quarters, a Ravener is a whirlwind of slashing limbs and gnashing teeth. Raveners embody chaos on the battlefield, sowing confusion in enemy ranks and breaking up formations. This terrifying tactic leaves defenders scrambling to plug gaps in their lines while fending off attacks from below, creating openings for the rest of the swarm to exploit. This chaos sets the stage for the Tyranids' complex command structure to direct the swarm's next moves. Warriors take things to a whole new level compared to Raveners. These towering bioforms stand taller than Astartes warriors and serve as the true field commanders of the Tyranid swarm. Their most impressive feature: unparalleled adaptability. Warriors are the ultimate chameleons of the Tyranid arsenal. They can wield devastating bio-cannons for long-range attacks or slice through enemies with razor-sharp talons up close. This versatility allows them to dominate any battlefield situation with ruthless efficiency. But here's where it gets really interesting. Warriors possess a distributed nervous system that puts even Space Marines to shame. They can continue fighting despite missing limbs or suffering catastrophic damage that would incapacitate lesser creatures. In the swarm, warriors are the synaptic linchpins, directing lesser Tyranids with terrifying precision. They're the battlefield commanders who adapt tactics on the fly, combining tactical genius with raw physical might to overcome any obstacle. It's no wonder they're considered the ultimate Tyranid threat. While warriors dominate the battlefield with brute force, zoanthropes wage war on an entirely different plane. These living warp conduits redefine mind over matter, but at what cost? Picture a creature with a grotesquely swollen cranium, pulsating with psychic energy, encased in a shimmering fortress of pure willpower. That's a zoanthrope for you. These floating nightmares are the Tyranids' answer to enemy psychers and heavy armor. Their hypertrophied brains grant them psychic abilities that would make even seasoned librarians hesitate. Zoanthropes can crush tanks with a thought, project impenetrable force fields, and tear open reality itself. It's like having a living, breathing psychic cannon that bends physics. This power comes at a steep price. Zoanthropes have sacrificed nearly all physical substance for raw psychic might, their bodies withered husks barely supporting their massive brains. Yet in Tyranid evolution, this trade-off has proven devastatingly effective, shattering enemy morale on the battlefield. Let's talk about the Biovore, a living weapon platform that redefines long-range warfare in the Tyranid arsenal. These bizarre creatures are the hive mind's answer to conventional mortar teams, but with a biological twist that'll make your skin crawl. Picture a walking cannon that launches spore mines instead of shells. But here's the kicker: Biovores can adjust their payload on the fly, like a customizable artillery shell. Need to melt armor? Load up some corrosive acid. Want to choke out an enemy stronghold? A toxic gas spore will do the trick. These spores don't always detonate on impact. Sometimes they burrow into the ground, turning the battlefield into a living minefield. The Biovore's ability to provide fire support is crucial to the Tyranid swarm's success. They soften up enemy positions, creating chaos before the main assault begins. This long-range support sets the stage for other Tyranid units to move in, combining biological horror with tactical precision. While the Biovore might be the Tyranid's answer to artillery, the hive mind has another ace up its sleeve when it comes to protecting its most valuable assets. Enter the Tyrant Guard, a creature that takes the concept of taking a bullet to a whole new level. These living shields are the ultimate bodyguards, sharing a psychic link with their wards that allows them to anticipate threats before they even materialize. Imagine a creature so devoted to its purpose that it willingly throws itself into harm's way time and time again. That's the Tyrant Guard in a nutshell. These behemoths are built like organic tanks, capable of absorbing an incredible amount of punishment that would obliterate lesser organisms. But don't let their defensive role fool you. Tyrant Guards are far from passive protectors. Equipped with crushing claws that can crumple armor like paper and lash whips that slice through the air with terrifying speed, these bioforms are formidable fighters in their own right. It's like having a mobile fortress that can also punch back with devastating force. The psychic link they share with their charges, usually the invaluable Hive Tyrants, allows for a level of coordination that would make even the most elite bodyguard units green with envy. Remember how we've been building up the Tyranid threat? Well, now it's time to meet the true embodiment of that menace, the Hive Tyrant. This creature combines the raw power of a tank with the tactical genius of a master strategist, all wrapped up in chitinous armor and pulsing alien flesh. Hive Tyrants are the commanders of the Tyranid swarms, and they're not just barking orders. These monsters are psychers of immense power, capable of coordinating entire armies with a single thought. It's like they've got a psychic Wi-Fi connection to every bug on the battlefield, allowing them to react to threats faster than any human commander ever could. But don't think for a second that Hive Tyrants are just sitting back. These walking arsenals are equipped with an array of biomorphic weapons that would make a space marine look like a kid with a water pistol. From venom cannons spewing corrosive death to psychic lashes and armor-shredding claws, Hive Tyrants are ready for any fight. Imagine the ground beneath your feet shifting ominously. That's the first sign that the Tyranid's ultimate siege weapon, the Trigon, is about to strike. This massive serpentine monster burrows through solid rock as if it were sand, erupting from below to unleash a tide of chitinous horrors. The Trigon isn't just a living drill. As it moves, it generates a powerful bioelectric field that wreaks havoc on nearby technology. Tanks stall, comms go dark, and defense turrets power down just as this colossal beast breaches the surface. Those massive scything talons aren't for show. They tear through bunkers and tanks like cardboard, breaching defenses in seconds that would have taken days to overcome otherwise. It's no wonder Imperial commanders consider Trigons one of the most terrifying threats on the battlefield. But the Trigon's true power lies in its role as a living tunnel, creating passageways for smaller Tyranids to bypass surface defenses entirely. This tactic has spelled doom for countless worlds, as defenders find themselves suddenly surrounded and overwhelmed from below. Just when you thought the skies were safe, the Tyranids unleash their ultimate aerial nightmare, the Harpy. This creature combines the firepower of a gunship, the speed of a fighter jet, and the swarming capabilities of locusts, all in one terrifying package. These flying monstrosities are the Tyranid's answer to air superiority, ready to turn conventional aerial warfare on its head. What makes the Harpy so frightening? Picture a predator dancing through a storm, twisting and turning with unnatural grace. These creatures perform maneuvers that would shred any conventional aircraft, while their bioweapons rain death from above. Imagine being a planetary defender, watching a seemingly harmless cloud start moving with purpose. Before you can sound the alarm, your position is bombarded. As the Harpy swoops overhead, it releases swarms of smaller creatures, overwhelming air defenses and ground targets alike. The Harpy's role in clearing the skies paves the way for the Hive Fleet's unstoppable advance. It's no wonder that many worlds fall silent shortly after these aerial terrors appear, ensuring nothing stands between the swarm and its prey. Imagine a creature so massive, so utterly alien, that it defies our understanding of biology. That's the Norn Queen, the living heart of Tyranid reproduction. These colossal bioforms are entire factories condensed into a single, pulsating mass of flesh and chitin. Deep within the cavernous bowels of Hive ships, Norn Queens ceaselessly churn out endless streams of Tyranid organisms. Picture a grotesque assembly line of writhing tentacles and glistening pods, each pulsing with new life. These living factories rapidly adapt their offspring to counter new threats, ensuring the swarm's continued evolution. It's a nightmarish fusion of research lab, production line, and genetic laboratory. The scale of a Norn Queen's reproductive capabilities is staggering. In mere hours, they spawn entire armies ready to overwhelm any resistance. This makes them the key to the Tyranid's seemingly inexhaustible numbers and priority targets for any defending force. After all, if you can take out the factory, you might just stem the tide of chitinous horrors. What if the very air you breathe could turn against you? That's the nightmarish reality of the Millanthrope, a living plague that redefines biological warfare. These insidious creatures are the silent killers of the Tyranid invasion, often doing their deadly work long before the main swarm arrives. Malanthropes are living bioweapons, exuding a miasma of hyper-evolved toxins and viruses tailored specifically to the world they're invading. Imagine a lush planet teeming with life. Within days of a Malanthrope's arrival, leaves wither, animals sicken, and the air itself becomes poison. It's like watching a slow-motion apocalypse unfold. These bioforms analyze a world's entire ecosystem, creating the perfect cocktail of death to wipe it out. The Malanthrope turns the very essence of life, air, water, water and soil into weapons of mass extinction. It's a creeping invisible plague that can render entire worlds uninhabitable without firing a single shot. By the time defenders realize what's happening, it's often too late. Let's talk about the Exocrine, the Tyranid's living tank. This bioengineered monstrosity combines the raw firepower of a battle tank with the adaptability of a living organism. At its core, the Exocrine is a mobile plasma reactor that strikes like lightning. Its hyper-evolved system produces and stores vast quantities of bioplasma, which it can adjust on the fly. Need to take out a single target or lay waste to an entire area? The Exocrine has you covered. This flexibility makes the Exocrine crucial for any Tyranid swarm. It provides heavy fire support at extreme ranges, softening up enemy defenses before the rest of the swarm moves in. Unlike traditional artillery, the Exocrine can reposition itself, adapting to the battlefield's changing needs. It's clear that the Exocrine is not just a weapon, but a tactical game changer in the hands of the hive mind. Remember the Exocrine? Well, meet its toxic cousin that makes chemical warfare look tame. The Toxicrine is a living, breathing nightmare that combines the worst of chemical weapons with an ever-evolving organism. Picture a walking chemical factory with massive tentacles that deliver devastating poisons and corrosives at range. But here's the thing, Toxicrines aren't one-trick ponies. These bioforms rapidly alter their chemical makeup, rendering even advanced protective gear useless. It's like facing a chameleon of toxins that shifts its colors faster than you can blink. One moment, your armor might hold up. The next, it's melting off like ice cream on a hot day. This adaptability makes Toxicrines perfect for dealing with heavily armored or entrenched foes. When a Toxicrine shows up, it's there to melt through defenses with terrifying efficiency, clearing the way for the swarm. It's the Tyranid Siegebreaker, turning fortified positions into toxic wastelands in minutes. Just when you thought the Tyranids couldn't get any more terrifying, along comes a bioform that makes even Space Marine dreadnoughts look like children's toys. Meet the Hierophant, a living siege engine that combines the firepower of an entire armored division into a single monstrous organism. These behemoths are among the largest Tyranid creatures seen on the battlefield, and they come in two equally nightmarish flavors. First, we have the Scythed Hierophant, a close combat specialist that's basically a walking blender of doom. Imagine massive, razor-sharp talons that can slice through fortified bunkers like they're made of paper. Then there's the Barbed Hierophant, which trades those melee weapons for biocannons capable of reducing entire city blocks to smoldering craters in seconds. But it's not just their size and firepower that make Hierophants so terrifying. These creatures are virtually unstoppable once they get moving. They can shrug off damage that would obliterate lesser bioforms, continuing their rampage even after sustaining injuries that would kill a small army. It's like trying to stop a runaway freight train with a pea shooter. Let's be clear, when the hive mind deploys a Hierophant, it's not messing around. These are the Tyranid's ultimate siege breakers, sent in when nothing else can crack enemy defenses. When conventional tactics fail and the swarm's advance seems to be stalling, that's when you'll see these monsters lumbering onto the battlefield. And when they do, it's usually game over for whoever's unlucky enough to be in their path. If you thought the Hierophant was the Tyranid's ultimate trump card, wait until you see what happens when the hive mind decides to play the long game. Enter the Tervigan, a walking hive that turns small incursions into planet-wide infestations. Imagine a creature that's part general, part mobile hatchery, and all nightmare fuel. That's the Tervigon in a nutshell. These massive bioforms are living incubators, constantly birthing swarms of smaller Tyranid organisms. But we're not talking about a few offspring here and there. No, we're talking about an endless tide of termagants pouring forth from the Tervigon's birthing sacs. Let's put this into perspective. A single Tervigon can produce more termagants in an hour than an entire Imperial Guard regiment has soldiers. It's like watching a horrifying magic trick where the magician keeps pulling rabbits out of a hat, except the hat is a grotesque alien monster and the rabbits are flesh-eating horrors. But the Tervigon isn't just a baby factory, it's also a synaptic node, providing psychic control over the hordes it spawns. This means that as soon as a new batch of termagants hits the ground, they're instantly connected to the hive mind and ready for action. It's like they're born with a built-in battle plan and years of combat experience. Let's talk about the ultimate force of nature in the 41st millennium, the Hierophant Bio-Titan. Picture a living apocalypse so massive it dwarfs even the mightiest Imperial Titans, embodying the Tyranid's most terrifying evolutionary leap yet. These colossal bioforms are the largest Tyranid organisms ever seen on the battlefield, armed with an arsenal that's like a walking doomsday device. It's as if someone took every destructive force in the galaxy and crammed it into one unstoppable package. What truly sets the Hierophant apart is its near indestructibility. These monsters are like living tidal waves, absorbing damage and regenerating at an alarming rate. Firepower that would obliterate lesser creatures barely slows them down. The Hierophant Bio-Titan is the Tyranid's trump card, deployed only when total annihilation is required. When one of these monstrosities appears on the battlefield, it's clear that the Tyranids have decided your world isn't going to exist anymore. We've journeyed through the Tyranid horrors, from the humble Spore Mine to the apocalyptic Hierophant Bio-Titan. The hive mind's creativity in crafting living weapons is boundless, yet we've only scratched the surface. The Tyranid menace evolves constantly, adapting to overcome any obstacle. Unseen nightmares lurk in the depths of space, waiting to strike. In the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, vigilance is our only defense. The Great Devourer's appetite is insatiable, its arsenal ever expanding. As we face this threat, remember, there is only death or victory. Will you stand against the encroaching shadow or be consumed by the endless hunger?